No matter where you are in your entrepreneurial journey or career journey, you need a mentor. Work life, just like family life, is filled with ups and downs, and it's natural to feel lost and unsure at times. We've all been there, but that's where having a mentor can be truly transformational. A mentor is someone who has been down the road you're currently traveling and can offer guidance, support, and wisdom to help you navigate the challenges and obstacles that will inevitably arise. And they say there are no dumb questions, but it can be really intimidating to ask somebody who seems leaps and bounds ahead of you in their journey what might be considered a quote-unquote dumb question. But truly, most people are thrilled and honored to be able to help someone find their way down their own entrepreneurial path. It can be really scary to think about who can be a mentor? What does that mean? Thinking of approaching someone that you feel like has gotten a bit further in life can feel really, really scary. But I want to encourage you to adopt a mindset of learning and of not being afraid to ask dumb questions, because I would say in our small business journey, I think the moment that I was able to let go of my desire to look like I had it all together to everybody around me, the moment I was able to be vulnerable and to ask for help was the moment that transformed me as a person and also transformed our business. Because I think now, gosh, if I had the friends and connections and network that I have now back then, what a difference that would be. I would have learned this much faster. I would have known ahead of time to not make this specific decision, and how much grief that would have saved me, which is why we're doing this podcast in the first place, because I want to share our stories and share our perspective and our path in hopes that maybe some nugget of information that we talk about here might help you on your path. Being able to have basically a neutral party from the outside who is cheering for you and wants you to succeed, to be able to give you ideas that you had never thought of before. When we were starting Crank and Boom, I was literally handwriting every single label. And at this point, I was probably writing 50 to 100 of them at a time. And part of it was, I said, well, it looks nice. It looks homemade and handwritten. So I'm just going to hand write all these labels. And it wasn't until I was writing literally hundreds of labels every time, every flavor, where a friend of mine who is a PR executive and into marketing, he said, why don't you handwrite one label and send it off to a printer, and they will scan it and then print you a whole roll of labels that look handwritten, that you don't have to literally write 500, 1,000 labels at a time. And it was like a bomb blew off in my brain, was thinking, well, good gracious, why didn't I think of that? Because I was too in it. I was just too used to doing it the way that I was doing it. And there was no reason for me to do anything different. And so just having a friend who wasn't in the industry, but could see from the outside that what you're doing is ridiculous, and offering a very simple solution that still got the same result and the same feel. So the fact that he said that was transformative. Otherwise, I might still be handwriting labels at this point. So when I moved back to Kentucky after I was in school in North Carolina for college, I graduated, came home, and I was introduced to a lady who was a chef. She had a restaurant in Midway, and her name is Chef Ouita Michel. I saw her on TV, and she talked all about Kentucky and Kentucky food and how important it was for us to take care of our farmers. She just loved Kentucky. And for someone who had literally just stormed out of Kentucky, saying that I would never come back, it was cool to see someone who really loved Kentucky. And I was just so taken by that. She's just a force to be reckoned with. And she's got it all together. And it would just be cool to meet her one day. So, fast forward some time after we've had our restaurant, Mike is on the board of a nonprofit called Food Chain, where Ouita is also on the board of this nonprofit called Food Chain. And as he's getting involved, we are going to more events for food chain. And one day, Ouita was there at a fundraising event. And I asked a friend of mine who knew her. And I just said, "Hey, can you introduce me to Chef Ouita? Because I would just love to know her." And at this point, I wasn't trying to find a mentor, but I just knew that she was my hero. And I really just wanted to tell her in person. So my friend went over and brought me over and introduced me to her. And I don't remember the words I said because it's kind of a blur, but she was very gracious. And I talked to her about how one day I wanted to open a Thai noodle shop on top of our little Thai restaurant. And she just said right then, and she had just met me, and she said, "Hey, why don't we have tea and we can talk about noodle shops?" Because she loves Thai food. And I was shocked at the time that she would invite me to spend more time with her. And if you listen to our episode in episode 11, we talk about our tea time together. We talked about potentially a new noodle shop that I was thinking about opening. I remember talking about our plans that had not come to fruition and we had not really done very much on. And sharing it with someone else felt very foreign. It felt very scary. Is she going to judge me? Is she going to tell us what a dumb idea it was? But she was just so nice and gracious, and she was encouraging, and she was also very open about what she thought some of the challenges might be. And it just really took me aback how open she was about talking about the ins and outs of her business, because I was never around anybody who talked about their business or about how much money is it going to take to start up this restaurant. The first time you talk to someone about money or your numbers or how many people are coming through your store, it is scary because you want to look successful. And I was very scared about looking vulnerable or looking like I didn't know what I was doing. Even though I didn't know what I was doing, I still don't know what I'm doing. But that moment where she was willing to share her challenges and to say, "Yeah, I don't know how we do it," or "I don't feel like I have it all together." Her having the vulnerability to share from her space gave me the opportunity to feel safe, to also share different issues we felt or challenges. And she was so far ahead of us in where we were in our restaurant journey that I just soaked it up like a sponge. And that was really a big turning point for me, being able to have someone to talk about those things with. What a difference it is to have someone who's in your industry who will take the time to talk about their path and be open about it, and also share advice on how you could improve what you are doing, or marketing ideas, or have you thought about ever changing this up, or hey, we use this operating system. All the little nuggets that it takes to run your business, and also just having a sounding board of someone who can tell you that the feelings you're feeling do not mean that you're crazy. It's just part of the game. So normalizing the challenges of what it takes to be a restaurateur, that was, I think, the biggest impact. Hey friends, if you've been listening to the show for a little bit now, you know that I believe in the emotional and magical power of food. A big part of the mission statement of Crank and Boom is igniting laughter and spreading joy. Ice cream is our gateway of delivering that to people, and Goldbelly is our partner in the actual delivery of our ice cream to all 50 states. They ship the most famous, the most regional, iconic food from all around the country right to your door. So even if you don't live in the place you grew up, but you really miss your New York bagels or Southern fluffy biscuits, you can get them shipped to wherever you'd like. Additionally, you can try foods from famous chefs like Nancy Silverton or Danny Meyer. Goldbelly is America's #1 food marketplace for all your foodie dreams. If you haven't taken advantage of Goldbelly's amazing offerings, run over there right now to their website, goldbelly.com, and ship yourself a little happy today. That's goldbelly.com, and be sure to add a collection or two of Crank and Boom ice cream to your cart while you're at it. Hey friends, Tao here, popping in to share my excitement about one of my favorite companies in the whole world, Holly Hill & Co. If you are like me and are obsessed with food, especially local food, you will appreciate those special ties that happen around the table. Holly Hill & Co. believes, like I do, that food creates connection and community unlike anything else. That's why they take care to strengthen the ties across the generations between family, the farmer, and the land, all the way to the food that ends up on your table. You can experience exactly what this means at one of Holly Hill's 9 unique Central Kentucky restaurants and through their beautiful emails. If you're in Kentucky, be sure to find the nearest location and get ready for an amazing experience with the most fantastic food. Holly Hill's co-founder is none other than my dear friend, James Beard-nominated chef Ouita Michel, who's been a force on the Kentucky food scene for over 20 years. Learn more about their incredible food community by visiting hollyhillandco.com, where you'll find stories, recipes, how-tos, and even curated gifts. Again, that's hollyhillandco.com, and let them know that Tao from Crank and Boom sent you. Like any relationship, a mentoring relationship has to live on trust. You have to have trust that the things you share with one another is going to stay in that space. And I've always made sure that anyone that discloses anything to me doesn't get shared, and then vice versa, because if you don't have that trust, then you have no relationship. And that's for any relationship, be it mentor, mentee, spouse, friend. It is all about trust. And so tactically, how do you find the right person? I think you find people that are within the spaces that you're already in. So if you are looking to be in business, I would get involved in business associations or your chamber of commerce. Or if there's a small business advisory, we have a local group of Lexington women entrepreneurs that one entrepreneur started. And so just find groups that have your interests, be it basket weaving or pickleball, or, do the things that you care about and love. And if it's a new space that you're trying to get into, go find where those people are. Go find where those people might interact, be it a business meeting or a conference. I think conferences are a great way to find people. I have definitely gone up to people who have spoken on a panel. If in that moment they say something that really moves me, I will wait and I will approach them and say, hey, thank you for sharing your story. I'm really inspired. I would love to connect. You just have to be brave. You have to be brave to go up and talk to people. So if you frame it in a sense of, can you help me with this thing? I'm really stuck on it. If you take that spirit and that openness and willingness to show your vulnerabilities and ask for help, it's a very much softer way to kind of approach somebody versus going up to them cold and saying, hi, will you be my mentor? That sounds like a much bigger commitment than going up to someone and just starting to build a relationship. And maybe you have coffee with somebody and it turns out that they weren't what you thought they were, or maybe you're not going to get as much out of that time together. And that's okay too. But I think if you don't even try, then you miss out on a lot. So here are 3 things that I think every entrepreneur needs to know when they're looking for a mentor or an advisor in some capacity on their path. Number 1, you have to stop trying to look like you know all the things. If you can let go of your ego and this desire to look perfect or to look like you've got it all together, it will free you and it will open your world up in ways that you can't even imagine. Number 2, don't be afraid to ask for help. I am still working on this. I am not the best at asking for help, but most people are very willing to help you out. So if you're able to approach other people from the standpoint of, I need help, I think by human nature, most people want to help other people. And then number 3, I think it's very important that you look for someone who is in your industry or within your interest world or scope. I think building a diverse portfolio of people who are in your life that is your village, that maybe plays different roles and different pieces of your life, can support you in those different pieces of your life. So we've talked about the ins and outs of mentorship and how to find people who can really invest in you in who you are and what you're doing. And so I'm so thrilled to bring on one of my very best friends who is my mentor, my colleague, my confidant, and my hero, Coach Colleen Elridge, for the next episode. We'll be chatting about boundaries, family, mindset, attitude, gratitude, and specific steps on how you can find more balance in your life. Coach Colleen has built her own boutique consulting company, and she teaches companies all over the country about all these topics. She is the expert. She's going to have all her secret tips, and I can't wait for you all to hear our conversation. It is going to be so good. Thank you so much for listening to the Crank and Boom podcast. If you want business advice and tactics like this every week, click that follow button wherever you listen to your podcast so you never miss an episode with us. Also, if you like what you heard today, it would mean so very much to me if you would leave us a review. That helps other people find us, and I would also love to hear more about what topics you'd like for us to dive into on the show. I can't wait to meet you here again soon. Until next time, peace!
This is a production of Four Eyes Media.